Nathan Bradley Bethea served in Bergdahl's battalion and was very outspoken about Bergdahl's case after he came home last spring. He joins us now. And Nathan, I know that you tweeted today that you wanted to let the Army speak, before you did. They spoke today. And in that article that you wrote in the Daily Beast last June, you said, quote, "Bowe Bergdahl was a deserter and soldiers from his own unit died trying to track him down." But you also said that you didn't think charges would be brought against him, and yet they did.
I imagined that because it became politicized almost immediately after his release, that the military, the Department of Defense and the government would seek a way to make this story go away. They would seek a way to let it die in the press, in a sense. And so when I saw today that it had happened, that he had been charged, I was very, very surprised.
And were you satisfied?
I think I would be satisfied when the case has come to its conclusion, because what I'm hoping is that he receives due process. I hope that they treat him as innocent until proven guilty, like they're supposed to, because I think that that's the only way that there can be an authoritative statement of events.
What do you make of this second charge, misbehavior before the enemy?
I mean, I think that there's a specific wording that's in the Uniform Code of Military Justice that I think you would need a Judge Advocate General to interpret it. But I would say, if you look at the effects of his disappearance and how it impacted us and how it completely changed the mission in the entirety of eastern Afghanistan during that time, it put a lot of people at risk. And I think that that is in a sort of a legal way of rendering that.
What do you think of this, of the charges and the maximum penalty that they hold? Life in prison, dishonorable discharge, and then his benefits being cut. Is that enough?
I have read very briefly some of the statements that were published today about his captivity, where there was a document published about what he experienced. What he went through was horrendous, and I think, honestly, he suffered enough. I think that the punishment, the most important thing about it is that it establishes definitively that he deserted, that what he did was a crime, that there's no ambiguity about it, and then he's allowed to live his life. I think he's suffered enough in a lot of ways.
Have you personally forgiven him?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I remember very clearly having this discussion with a friend of mine who was serving at Cops Rock on July 4th, 2009, when they were attacked and the outpost was overrun. And I told him, he told me he blamed Bergdahl for what happened. 2 of the soldiers in his unit died. It was an insane firefight. And I told him, and I would say this again, that at some point, we are absolved of worrying about him. We don't have to worry about him anymore. We don't have to care about it anymore. We can let it go and then move on with our lives. And it's been 5 years. A lot of guys are really, 5 years since we came back, 6 years since it happened almost. A lot of guys are still really angry about it. And I hope that in time, when it's all settled and when the statements are made and justice is served, that people can move on. And I think moving on requires forgiving him. And I try, of course I'm still angry about some things, but the fact is, like, he did something really stupid and he's paid for it, and he just needs to settle this account and be done with it.
I admire your strength, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Nathan Bradley Bethea.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.